Welcome to WAMA-SIMBI Online TV. This August 2026, coming to you from Bungoma County in Western Kenya. This is the traditional circumcision season in Bukusu culture, and this is an initiate coming back from the river after being smeared by mud, ready for the cut. Now they are singing for him as they head to his home. I can see there are two initiates today they will be circumcised at the same time. And this song has some significance. It is not a song that is sung anywhere unless on two occasions. One occasion is now when they are taking an initiate for the cut, and the second time this song is sung is when you are going to war. It's actually a war song that is supposed to motivate the initiate and encourage him to be strong and courageous. What the song says is you are going to face tigers who are ready to tear you into pieces. So they liken the circumciser to tigers who actually tear people into pieces or tear your flesh into pieces. So when they say wangwe marure kwakonile, is the tigers are lying in wait, ready to tear you into pieces. Those are the two initiates smeared with the mud. So the song is saying you are going to face wangwe marure, tigers that are ready, or leopards that are ready to tear you into pieces or tear your flesh. So they liken the circumciser to ferocious leopards. And in normal circumstances, you will find the circumciser wearing a leopard skin, looking very terrifying. So this song is sung during this time, and when the Bukusu are going to war, they sing the same song, which is both fine and encouraging. It has an effect on Bukusu. Every time they are sung this song, it charges them for war. Today, they are going to circumcise two initiates. This is the last process of this ceremony. Remember, this ceremony begins with the initiate going around with the jingles, calling relatives and friends, informing them of the date of the circumcision. Then after going around for a week or two, calling, depending on the number of relatives you have, then on the eve, which was yesterday, he will visit the uncles who will give him an animal. They will slaughter an animal and put some meat to carry home. And then they will sing for him the whole night different songs of to encourage him, to give him courage. And then in the morning, very early, they take you to the river for this mud smearing. The reason they smear this mud is usually to freeze your blood veins and reduce the amount of bleeding that will undergo when you are circumcised. They smear with blood early in the morning to freeze your body so that blood circulation slows down, and then when they smear that blood, when they circumcise you, one, it freezes your body and dims the pain. You know, when your body freezes, you don't feel as much pain as when the blood circulation is high. So that's the reason they do it very early in the morning, to use the cold to freeze the body and at the same time reduce the feeling of pain, because you are undergoing a surgery without anesthesia. So they use the cold for anesthetic purposes and then to reduce blood flow and then bleeding. Every time a Bukusu hears this song, their blood boils, because it signifies danger, pain, loss of blood, and it's a war song. But at the same time, it charges you ready for war. So the wording of the song is, you're going to face a ferocious leopard waiting to tear your flesh. And they're telling him, when you arrive at the circumcision arena, your eyes should be straight looking in the sky. Don't look at the circumciser, don't look at the crowd. That's a part of the wording of the song, that keep your eyes focused in the sky. Don't look at the crowd, don't look at the circumciser. It is a war chant. And then there's a trick that they employ when smear the initiate with the mud. There's a good amount of mud that is put forehead and then along the ridge of his nose. So they disguises the face of the initiate, and then at the same time, what that mud does is, it doesn't show when the initiate maybe there's a facial reaction when he's cut. It is shielded by the mud. When he flinches, or it actually helps in masking the facial reaction during. So you can see the shape of their heads. I've given the scientific explanation of the reason for them smearing of mud. But now the traditional explanation is, the first person to get circumcised went to kill a snake that used to eat Bukusu's livestock. A python that used to stay in a cave and used to eat the Bukusu's animal. So there's one guy who decided to go and deal with that problem called Wangwe Malure. What he did was Mango. He was called Mango. He's the first person to get circumcised in Bukusu culture law. Now the law says, when he decided to go and face the snake, he wanted to mask or hide his body odor so that when he's in that cave, that snake will not notice that there's somebody in the cave, because he timed when the snake had left the cave. Then he went and hid in the cave with a sharp knife to cut its head off. So what he did is he smeared his body with mud so that he can hide his body odor, so that when the snake enters the cave, it won't hear or notice the body odor of a human being. Then when the snake entered, he put a log across the mouth of the cave or the entrance. So when the snake entered, according to Bukusu law, and put its head on that log to cross it, he cut it with one blow and cut the head off. And then he carried that head of the python on his head and took it home. Took it to the village arena to prove that the danger has been extinguished. So when they smear the initiate like this with mud, it is to signify that first smearing of mud of the first initiate, who was called Mango. And then they make the initiate head look like he's carrying the snake's head. You see, the image of the initiate's head is molded to look like that of the python that he was carrying on his head that fateful day. That is the Bukusu folklore. But scientifically, freeze the body and this circumcision happens every even year. It happened in 2024. And even 2025, they skip the ceremonies. They do it 2026, which is this year. Then they will skip next year and do it 2028. They only perform them during even years. And it's the transition from childhood to adulthood. After circumcision, the initiate is expected to be mature enough to marry and take on adult responsibilities. After this ceremony, in December, the circumciser will come back to the home and sit down the initiate and tell him how to conduct himself as an adult. Actually, it's in September. It's around September when the initiate has healed. The circumciser comes and then talks to them, gives them guiding and counseling, tells him how to conduct himself, the type of women to marry or associate with, and generally how you should conduct yourself as an adult. So that is the transition that takes place. It is the person who circumcises you, the one who gives you that life lesson. That is 2 months after circumcision. This event attracts a lot of crowds. You can see there are groups of crowds here. Those ones running on the road are part of this crowd, just like him, but it's part of this crowd. It is quite a big deal in Bukusu community, this circumcision season, initiating young men into adulthood. Quite a crowd is gathering. As he goes along, he gathers crowds. As he goes along, onlookers will be joining the melee. By the time we arrive at the home of the initiate, this crowd will be massive because he picks people along the road. Every Bukusu, when he hears this song, their blood boils and they can't help themselves but join the melee. Because as I said, it's a war cry. It's a song that cannot be ignored by a real Bukusu. Every time they hear this song, their blood boils. And that's why anytime there's trouble, anytime there's demonstration, anytime there's dissent, and they want to show anger, this is the song. Even during riots, when they meet the policemen during riots, when they sing this song, it's a song of bravery. The circumcision process itself takes seconds. If the circumciser is skilled enough, he can actually take 5 seconds or less. Some even take 3 seconds. Like it's one slash, then it's done. Cutting off the foreskin takes seconds if the initiate is skilled, if the circumciser is skilled. What is interesting is the circumcisers themselves are usually spirit-filled. Not anybody can be a circumciser. It runs in the blood. They are not taught like you go to school or to be taught surgery. They are born with it. It's a spirit that one is born with, and it runs in families. If your father was a circumciser, then the likelihood that you have that spirit is high. The circumcisers themselves, when they hear this song, however far they are, they will run all the way to where the song is coming from. They can't help themselves. They are driven by that spirit of circumcision, and then they will lose control and just dash and run towards the song. So that's the sign of the spirit. So if a child is a boy, if a boy or girl has that spirit, when they hear this song, they will just break into a sweat and begin shaking and running towards the song. It's called the spirit of Heavy. And then the smearing of blood doesn't just happen anywhere. They don't just take you to any river for that process. The Bukusu Council of Elders identify particular springs or areas where they take people for this ceremony. And then they go and bless that area, make traditional prayers at the site to bless it. So the Sitavicha, or the place where the initiate goes for mud smearing or hulonga, are places that are identified specifically for this purpose by Bukusu Council of Elders, and every initiate from that area takes that is taken to that same place. So, like in this, the place they are coming from is called Esamichi in Kabula ward. So anybody who gets circumcised in this ward or this location called Kabula goes to that Sirongo at a place called Esamichi or Samichi River. And it's just one spot. So you'll find like 10 initiates all going to that same place the same day. And then they go there in turns. Others will wait at a distance. First initiate is smeared with blood, comes out, another one is taken in. He comes out, another one is taken in. So they go in shifts, because that's the place that is prepared for hulonga or smearing of blood in readiness for the cut or circumcision. So you can see these ones are going like 2-3 kilometers from their home to where they have come for this process. Like I told you in the beginning, this is the last step of circumcision. The first step is the initiate going to call relatives and friends or hulanga using jingles or bells. Then the second is yesterday and eve to the day of circumcision, where the initiate goes to the grandparents' place. The uncles is the uncle, the brother to the mother, who is supposed to give him an animal as a gift, or actually they are vegetable. They are supposed to be vegetables for those who will come to that home for the ceremony. That animal is slaughtered and the meat is cooked for those who come for the ceremony. And then today is the last day you go for circumcision. After circumcision, they are supposed to gift him for being courageous. They give him money, others give them animals, they give a goat and a cow, a bull, any type of gift. They're supposed to be gifted for withstanding the knife after being circumcised. Then after that, he will be amufulu. After circumcision, the Bukusu initiates are not allowed to take a bath. What they do, the same way they have been smeared by blood, by this mud today. There's a type of mud that is white in color called lulongo. Today they have smeared him with a normal clay soil for this process. But there's a type of clay soil called silongo or lulongo that is white or gray in color, whitish gray in color. That's one what they use they use that as a way to clean their bodies or to bathe. They don't bathe with water because they never used to use bandages after circumcision. So the wound will not heal if you keep washing it with water. It can actually turn sepsis. So to avoid that, they told the initiates never to take a bath. What they used to do is they will go to every morning to the river, look for that white silongo, and then apply to smear the whole body. Then when it dries, it falls off. Then it falls off with your sweat and dirt from your body. It actually cleans the body. After it all falls off the following day or 2 days after that, you go and smear another fresh coat of that mud. Then it dries on your body. It acts as a cleaning agent until you heal is when you take a bath. Actually, they are supposed to not to take a bath until the day December when the process ends. The process begins in August and then it ends in December. What happens in December is the initiate now is officially transitioning to adulthood by wearing new clothes. That's the time they're supposed to take a bath, and then they are bought new clothes. Then they wear those new clothes on 12th December, in the day they call Hualuha. And then from there, he will go to every home wearing those new clothes. In every home he visited to call them to come and witness his circumcision during Hulanga, and be gifted by normally a chicken. So this chicken collected from relative is supposed to be the first investment of the adults. They are supposed to go and rear those chicken and then convert them to a cow or a bull, and then from there multiply wealth. So it's like they are giving him capital for the animal rearing business. So every home, if you visited these 20 homes, you are supposed to have 20 chicken. 20 chicken can convert it into a calf, then that calf eventually multiplies into a herd of cattle. So they are helping you begin life after initial transitioning into adulthood by giving you capital for animal husbandry business. Because in Bukusu culture, there were two activities that were very important. One is rearing chicken, two is rearing cows, and three is growing foodstuffs. So this process begins in August and it ends on 12th December during Hukuaruha. What happens on that day, if I will have an opportunity to bring it to you, I will go and record it. What happens is, this initiate today, after being initiated, will not be sleeping on a normal bed. They will make a bed made of banana leaves called kamasanja. Those banana leaves are to be his bed until December 12th. So on that 11th of December night, he will burn those kamasanja or those beddings, showing he's burning the past, he's burning childhood and fully transitioning to adulthood. So when he burns those beddings at night, then he runs to away from that home, shouting, abusing the circumciser, telling him you are nothing, you know, as they are threatening him today that he's going to Professor Leopard. He will be shouting and abusing the circumciser that night and tell him, you are a nobody, I managed you, I withstood your knife. Then he will go and sleep outside that day. Sleep along the riverbed with others. They sleep in groups that night. And then the following morning, on 12th December, they will take to him new clothes, and then he will take a bath in that river and then wear those new clothes and come home singing that now I'm a new man, I'm a new person, I'm now an adult, coming home for now a celebration. At home, the relatives will be there waiting to celebrate his last day, his first day as a man now. That is on 12th December. If I'll get an opportunity to cover it, I will bring it on WAMA-SIMBI TV for you to witness that process in December. So today we are witnessing the circumcision day. The day he's going to face the cat. Look at how the crowds are growing. The road is filled with people all the way like a kilometer away. Filled with the people waiting to this moment. As we go along, the crowd is just growing and growing. By the time to reach the home, it will be packed with 1,000 or more of onlookers. Just to witness something that will take a second. The real cut takes a second. Now, there's something I want to show you. The jingles that used to run around with, or the bells calling relatives and friends, are now carried by a young brother who will inherit them. They are supposed to inherit them today in readiness for the following year and keep them in readiness for the following year. So the young brother is here carrying the clothes and the jingles. Now these are the next initials. Next year, they are carrying them. Yeah, they are supposed to keep them until next year and then use them. So they pass them down from brother to brother. And these are the clothes t-shirt. As you can see, is naked. The young brother is carrying them for him. So those young brothers or cousins are now taking over the responsibility. They take them from the river and then go and keep until next year, which is the following year, they will be ready to undergo the ceremony and use the same chinyimba or bells or jingles, whatever the name you want to call them. So those are the tools they use to go around calling the relatives to come and witness his big day. But right now, as you can see, they're walking naked all the way to the circumcision arena. Another interesting fact is after being circumcised today, like I told you, he's not allowed to take a bath. He will be going to the river every morning or every 2-3 days, because it might take even 3 days for the mud to fall off the body, and then smear the body with new mud, as that's taking a mud bath. Actually, it's a mud bath. Now, after taking that mud bath, another thing they are not supposed to do after being circumcised is not just not to take a bath. They are also not supposed to greet anybody by hand. I tend to think it was meant to avoid contamination or passing viruses between each other. So they are not supposed to take a bath, to take a bath, and then they're not supposed to greet anybody by hand. I think they must have understood that we transfer pathogens through handshakes. So the initiate, until he heals, he's not supposed to greet anybody by hand. What they are given a walking stick, and then they will tap each, when they meet with each other, they tap the walking stick as a way of greeting. Or if they meet an adult, the adult takes that walking stick and then taps on the angle of their feet. And when they meet, that's an adult who was initiated. But when they meet a young, somebody who's not yet initiated or a girl, they are allowed to tap the girl's leg or the young boy's leg who is not circumcised yet, using that walking stick. So that is how they will be greeting each other when they meet along the path, when they are still nursing that wound. While nursing the wound, they are not supposed to greet anybody by hand. I tend to think the folks knew we transfer pathogens through handshake, and now this being an invalid, to save him, they are not allowed to take handshake. So every circumcision season, you'll find they come up with the new songs. Every season they come up with the new songs depending on emerging issues. Every season they come up with a new song that will be talking about the current affairs and things that are happening that season. So that is how they used to educate, used to pass information around and educate the youth, the young, on their culture, their norms, and what is considered bad behavior. You will hear somebody being told, stop doing this, and or else should be sung during circumcision. There is usually a threat, because once you are sung in public like that, it's a form of humiliation, and you feel ostracized. So they will tell you, stop doing this, or just to illustrate the distance we are covering, for those who understand Kabula location in Bumula, we are passing Muhuma Primary School, heading to the home of the initiate at Muhuma Primary School, and we are at a river called Samichi, another school called Wamunyiri. This is a difference of like 5 kilometers. We are at Muhuma and we are going towards Watoya Market. And then we are coming from a riverbed called Samichi, which is 4 kilometers away from here, 4-5 kilometers away from here. As we get closer to the crowds are growing bigger. Look at these ones waiting. As we get nearer the home of the initiate, the crowds are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I don't know if I'll get an opportunity to access the arena because of this crowd. It won't be an easy thing to access the arena where the boy will be circumcised because of the crowd that will be in that home. I'm sure the home will be so packed that it will not be easy to get close, but I will try. These ones are just waiting, and the real group have left it a kilometer away. Far, they are still way back, so that I can arrive at the venue before they arrive. And these ones are here waiting to join the melee. By the time to reach the home, and we are still a kilometer away from the home. By the time we reach the home, it will be packed. And you know, there's another crowd at home waiting. Those who slept there, the relatives, the friends, the neighbors that we will be joining. Another fun fact is this group of escorters plus the initiate is called Vasinde. You know, the initiate is called Omusinde, which is singular. Then if there are several initiates, they call them Vasinde. But funny is, when this group is running around, the people call them Vasinde, are passing. So, and you see, these are people who are mature, who have already been initiated. They are not initiates. They are women, they are young kids, but they call the group Vasinde, as if they are saying everybody there is going to be circumcised. That's the funny bit of the language. So they say Vasinde Bavera, meaning, now they call this group chanting Vasinde in Bukusu dialect. So, like I said, the songs usually have meaning. They communicate something to the society. Let me listen to this one and tell you what they are singing and see if they have message. Now I'm nearing the homestead of the initiates, where they have sung all night in preparation for this morning. Relatives and friends that he went around calling came yesterday. They have slept here singing, eating, drinking. They usually make traditional brew. Another interesting observation is, when this initiate comes, he will not, or they will not pass through the normal gate. This is assumed that some people with bad intentions, Bukusu believed in witchcraft, might spread witchcraft along the gate, so that when the initiate crosses that concoction, he will not withstand the knife. So what they do is, only the father knows where the kid or the initiates will enter through the homestead. Usually, immediately he will come and meet the initiate on the road, and then direct them through the fence at place where nobody will suspect that they will pass through. So they don't use the same normal gate to avoid being bewitched by evil-eyed witches of the village. So this is the homestead. I've left them a kilometer away. They'll be arriving here, but I wanted to come and capture the home before they arrive. This home is going to be filled. I'm not very sure I'll be able to get a close-up eye. So this is the place. Now the exact spot through where the initiates will be standing will be created immediately they arrive, so that same reason, so that nobody knows where the blood will be spilled. And they don't allow the blood to be spilled on the ground. They will put something on the ground, like newspapers or a piece of cloth, and then with the sand, so that after bleeding on the ground, they will carry away the blood, and so that nobody can pick the blood and the remains of the foreskin. I think carrying newspapers should be the one who will create a tiangi. It's where the initiates will be standing, and it will be created when they are just a minute away from arriving, so that nobody can mess with that. Then the mothers will sit floor in the kitchen there. They will sit on the floor. Then the aunt, brother, who is a sister to the father, will run and meet the boy just before he enters the home with a cooking stick. I don't know the significance of Huhombiura, Huyu. She should be preparing porridge right now. Now she will run with that cooking stick, hot from the cooking pot, and then touch it on the chin of the initiate, like burn the initiate with a hot porridge. I don't know what the significance of that. It's called Huhombiura Kumukango, which will be just when he enters the compound. I'm yet to find out the significance of that behavior by the ant. So somewhere here, around here, they will create here a tiang, or the exact spot that the boys will be standing to be cut. Now this is the home of the initiate. The crowds are already now piling up. Another interesting fact, you realize that during this process, majority of men will arrive here carrying clubs. They do that because the initiate is not allowed to cry. Like if he feels pain and then cries, he's supposed to be beaten by those clubs. Actually, during the early days, they will beat him to death because if he mentions the father, like he cries mama or papa, calling out the name of the father or the mother, it's believed the person who is mentioned in that cry will die, eventually die. It's a curse. So they are beaten. The clubs are to threaten the initiate. He should know that if he cries out, he will be beaten to death. This is the circumciser. You can see the knife. That's the knife in his hand. The knife is not allowed to point downwards. At no particular time is the knife allowed to point to the ground. It's a bad omen. So he holds it like that. Now, and this one is the assistant circumciser carrying in his hand. This is fine dust. Dust to spray on the initiate's penis so that it doesn't slip when they hold it to be cut. They use it to create a grip. So they use fine ground dust that they will spray on the initiate's penis because it's mud, for it to be able to. So this one will grip it as the one in yellow jacket will cut. Just arriving, it's just a minute away. Now the crowds are piling up. Crowds are piling up. So I will show you where the mothers are seated. They are the ones singing that war cry. Now the circumciser is trying to calm one of the mothers. So that's what he does. He steps on his foot, then touches it, slaps on his chest. Now that is somebody with a spirit of circumcision. Now the circumciser is actually cooling the person down from the fits of rage. And another one is here. You see how they behave? Now that's the spirit of circumcision. When they hear that song, that's how they behave. Fits of ecstasy, like that. Now the mothers sit like their legs outstretched, facing outside. Now anybody who behaves like that is treated by the circumciser by stepping on their feet and then slapping on their chest. Now the crowd is gathering. This is just a fraction because those who are coming with the initiate are 3 times what we have here right now. You see, they are now streaming in, which is just a minute away. And you see now that's the main gate, but initiate from this direction, like the main gate. Expect the initiate from here. They will just cut through the fence and bring him through here. No, but not the gate. They believe somebody might lay a trap on the. Now that's the advanced team. That's the advanced team. But the real team is still behind. This is the main gate. Expect the initiate to pass through the main gate. He'll come a freshly cut path through the fence when the initiate arrives, so they can suspect where he comes from. Now they are preparing the arena or a tiangi. Now they are preparing the arena, like I said, to get spilled on the ground. They put there. Now the initiative. Now that's the ant with the cooking stick I told you about. Now he's coming through here. He's arriving. He's arriving. There he is. Now they are doing it. They are doing it. When you hear a whistle, they will be through. It is already done. It is already done. I told you it takes seconds. It's already done. Now it is celebration time. It takes a second. Now they'll be singing and celebrating and gifting him with the gifts. The mothers are house now ululating, happy their son has withstood the knife. Now it's time to celebrate. They will now be dancing around and gifting. And session in the Bukusu land. Now the second one is being circumcised. There were two. I can't see, the crowd is too thick. It is done. I can hear the whistle. It takes a second. Now that's the second boy. There he is. The crowd is too big. But I think you can see the head. Crowd is too big. Now they are dancing, saying we can now breathe. They say "Huayra," meaning we can now breathe. It's like they had held their breath. Because like I said, it's a serious affair. These clubs you can see raised in the air. Like I said, if he cried out a father or mother's name in pain, they will have to beat him to death, because he will, and if they don't do that, the person who has been mentioned is believed to have been cast and he will die. So that's why it creates a lot of tension. And after that, they now dance and say "Huayra," meaning we can now breathe. Then he's covered in blankets, in sheets, and then gifted. You can see now he's being covered in blankets because of the cold. They cover, the mothers come with the vitenges and malesos and cover him, and then they dance around and celebrate the milestone. That's the second initiate being covered too. Now he was called Omusinde. Now from today he will be called Omufulu. Now it transitions from Omusinde to Omufulu. From today until December he will be called Omufulu. He's no longer an initiate, but now Omufulu, not Omusinde. Omusinde is before he's cut. Immediately he's cut, the name changes to Omufulu. The crowd is too big, I cannot access. Now it's time for gifting. In ancient times, mostly they will gift him with eggs, because when you are in that, when you are nursing that circumcision wound, they believe eggs will help you heal faster. So they used to eat eggs. So after circumcision, they are usually gifted with eggs, then millet, then all foodstuffs that we'll be using in. And the house that you will be staying in during that time is called Irikombe. It's given a special name so that nobody is allowed to enter. Nobody is allowed to enter that house apart from Omufulu and the person who is chosen to be cooking for him. The mother will not be cooking for him. They will get a sister or a cousin to be cooking for him. Now, that girl that is chosen to cook for him is the only one who is allowed to access that house that will be staying in as he nurses his wound called Likombe. Likombe is the house that the initiate will stay until he heals. Same reason as why he's not supposed to greet somebody is, I think, to avoid a contamination of the wound. They don't allow people to access his sleeping area. So it takes a second, but the preparation takes a year. The real act takes a second, but the preparation before takes a year. Now from today, he's Omufulu until December. Then the girl that is chosen to cook for a cousin or a sister is called Namahala. The person the girl will be called Namahala, that will be cooking for the initiate until he heals. That is in Bukusu language. And that brings us to the end of today's initiate. As the celebration begins, I will be bringing you the second session, which will be being guided after he heals when the Omohabi comes Huvita. Or for guiding and counseling, it's called Huvita. It normally happens in around September. If I'll get an opportunity to cover it, I'll bring it to you so that you can hear the actual guiding and counseling, told how to, type of women to marry, type of relationship to have with people and all, how to behave, how to be a real man in September. Then in December, Kukuaruha is now the real transition, wearing new clothes. Now they are dancing, saying, Huaira, meaning we can now breathe, we can now breathe. Now the mothers, the uncles, the relatives, they're dancing around him saying, we can now breathe. Huaira means we can now breathe. It's like they had held their breath. So as they dance around, they gift him. As they dance around, they gift him. That's money they will use as to buy food during healing process. Let me squeeze in this crowd and see if I can get closer of the initiates after they are seated down. The crowd is too squeezed. I don't know if you can access it. Now they sing songs of celebration at this moment. Now they will sit here until the bleeding stops. After bleeding stops, they will be taken to their houses or the likombe or the place they will be sleeping. Now, after they stop bleeding, they will be taken to the likombe or the house where they'll be nursing their wounds. Now, when they are taken from here to the house, they don't enter the door walking towards facing forward. They enter the door walking backwards. They enter the door to that likombe walking backwards. I'm yet to understand the significance to that. They don't walk in facing the door. They will be taken in, held by the armpits, because now the wound is raw. Then they will be taken slowly inside, walking backwards. I don't know if I will be able to cover that. Let me hold and see. So here is the person who did the initiation. He's the circumciser. And whatever language you will use is free. I can translate. He will first of all tell us his name and tell us what I will ask him questions, then he'll answer. First of all, tuambie majina.
Majina yangu naitwa Gilbert wa Kwabubi.
It's called Gilbert wa Kwabubi. How long have you been doing this work?
Mimi nilianza mwaka wa 88.
Since 1988.
Yeah. Nimetayarisha watoto wengi. Na watoto wale ambao nimetairi.
Yes.
Ni watoto watulifu, wamesoma, wako na nidhamu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why must you be two? Huwezi tairi ukiwa mmoja?
Huwezi tairi ukiwa mmoja sababu mimi nakata hiyo mwili, lakini kuna mwenye ananishikia. Ndio sababu huyu anashika ndio mimi nikate.
Okay.
Huwezi kata ukiwa mmoja peke yako.
Yeah. Na kwa nini anatumia vumbi? Why does he use fine dust?
Ni puhuli lelio. Dikuye tange fwe. Ilinga yani no chuka mumwana.
Oh, so they use the fine dust for grip so that the foreskin does not slip when they hold it before they circumcise. And then these have been two kids that have been circumcised at the same time. Did you use one knife or do you have different knives for each?
tuko na visu mbili tofauti. Lakini ile visu zetu tunatumia, unaweza tumia upande imenolewa upande mbili. Kwa hivyo unaweza tumia upande moja kwa mtoto moja, upande mwingine kwa mtoto mwingine. Wakiwa wawili hivyo. Wakiwa zaidi ya wawili mpaka upatilishe ukate na hii na hii.
Then after this, how do you now sterilize it for the next job?
Tuko na moto. Ile inawaka kabisa, tunachukua ile moto imekuwa kama makaa.
Yes.
Hiyo tunaweka kwa mbao. Tunatengeneza na ile kisu, tunapangusa vizuri. Hakuna kitu itachikusa. Hata mtu akiwa na magonjwa, hiyo magonjwa inapaki na hiyo nini moto.
Yes.
Ukienda kutairi mwingine ako salama.
So they use fire to sterilize their hot fire to sterilize their knives before they apply it on another initiate. Yes. Kama kuna ya mwisho unaweza tuambia tukimaliza. Your last word.
Efu mbali mwana Bukusu. Ni yekali cheskale mu Bukusu.
Yes.
Bindu bindi bandu bere culture yefu kabisa.
Nga chinyinja
mbao. None embalo niye sisindi nisho mwana Bukusu ekhoyera.
Okay.
Mala babana befu nibo kabanga nende kimira yo mu Bukusu. Bali bana bali balai. Like umundu nga saa namba 3 mu Kenya. Speaker wefu Moses Wetangula.
Yes.
Alipitia kwa hii.
Yes.
Na imagine amefikia hapo anaenda president. Si ni mtu wa maana sana. Hii mtu asitarau mambo na kimila yetu, aseme ati kimila pengine inafanya nini na nini. Hiyo mpaka watu wetu wa Bukusu wakipitia hapo wanakuwa wajasiri, wanasoma vizuri na mbeleni wanakuwa watu wa maana sana.
Asante sana. Now he says that circumcision is the only culture in Bukusu that's remaining. The marriage ceremonies are now turned into Christian. All other cultural practices into Christianity. The only cultural thing to identify a Bukusu person in Africa is this circumcision. So he pledges that we keep it going so that it's an identity of the Bukusu people. Now this is the girl that has been identified as Namahala. This is now the girl that will be taking care of them. Now she's removing, those are the ones that were to stop the jingles from injuring their hands when they are chinyimba. She's now removing those paddings that they use to protect the wrists while beating chinyimba. Is one identified. She will be cooking for them, taking care of them. The only one who will be accessing that house or Likombe. These lesos, blankets are new as gifts. These are brand new. These are the ones plus the bedding that will be burned on December 11th before transition now to new clothes. They only sit here until the bleeding stops and then they are taken into their Likombe. They have been gifted several blankets and sheets, all brand new, brought by aunties. They will be using them as beddings, the sheets, blankets, and lesos. They are about to be taken to their they are supposed to be a ward of sorts because there's a room for healing. It's called Likombe. The circumciser says this is the only remaining Bukusu cultural practice that identifies us as Bukusus, so we should keep it. The marriage ceremony, the Bukusu marriage ceremonies are forgotten. Bukusu burial ceremonies are forgotten. Every ceremony is forgotten apart from this circumcision. Others have turned into Christian ceremonies. Now, the mother is following behind with the foodstuffs that have been gifted on her head. Now the one is here, also carrying, bearing the gifts on her head. They will be followed as they take them to their nursing home or likombe. Now they enter backwards. Now, I told you the beddings would be of banana leaves. He's entering backwards, like I said. Now, these that will be burned when he transitions. They're made of banana leaves. These are the gifts, the money that has been gifted. And this will be their nursing home.
Wamufulingu ya mawe sai kafare rara engunia kasalwa nayo ya garra sai sumsani ngapato we ya no paka kejira kumugongo ko kesiambo engube mairu rego no sai ka habu mundu mu
okay
ya
sawa sawa.